Good evening. Welcome to another broadcast by MCN Macon County News. Today is the 26th of April. I'm Susan Smith.
And I'm Yvette Leslie. Today's news. The Mad Dog of Macon County, Tim Johnson, who was spotted down the streets of Macon County just yesterday, had been shot dead. Residents of Macon County immediately shut the doors and windows tight when they received the message. After Mr. Atticus Finch received a phone call from his helper, Calpurnia, he and Mr. Hectic immediately rushed back. Instead of Mr. Hectic shooting, he passed the gun to Mr. Atticus Finch. As expected, Mr. Atticus Finch lived up to his nickname One-Shot Finch. With a perfect aiming and shooting skill, he managed to shoot Tim Johnson down with just one shot. The deceased dog was then brought away.
Now moving on to the headline news. The trial verdict has been finally released and Tom Robinson has been deemed guilty for raping Miss Mayela Emil. It was a rather expected case since blacks seldom win in court and that even Atticus' good law, knowledge and skill could not change any of that. We now bring you our reporter Lydia Jones, who will be interviewing some of the residents of Macon County and their thoughts on the trial verdict.
This is Lydia Jones reporting live. In this segment, I will be interviewing the residents of Macon County and their thoughts of the trial verdict. Ms. Gates, may I have your thoughts on the trial verdict?
The jury made a right decision. Tom Robinson absolutely deserved to be convicted. Blacks like him should be taught a lesson. There should be a clear segregation between the blacks and whites, men and women. How could he have the audacity to go into the Ewell's house, not to even say, feel sorry for Mayela? He should have known better that the whites are always superior than the blacks. The blacks will always remain at the bottom. Who does he think he is? He should know his limits. I wouldn't even want to imagine what would have happened if he was not convicted. The whole community would have been messed up. The blacks would get so arrogant and self-conceited that they would forget their position in the community, and the next thing they thought they could do was to marry the whites. It would be absolutely unacceptable.
How about your thoughts, Jem Finch?
I feel that the jury was definitely biased. How could they have deemed Tom Robinson guilty when all evidence and proof that was given clearly states that he is innocent? The trial verdict was definitely made according to this racial stereotype we have in our society these days, which is simply this: Tom is black, black is bad, and therefore Tom is bad. We need to learn how to judge people as individuals rather than by their race. Moreover, I wholeheartedly agree with what Atticus had said, which was the bad qualities that were associated with the blacks could also be associated with the human race, and to no particular race of men. As Thomas Jefferson had mentioned before, all men are created equal.
What do you think about the verdict, Mr. Tate?
To be honest, the verdict lies in the jury's hand. They are entitled to their own views and thoughts. Moreover, they have the final call at the end. A court is only as sound as a jury, and a jury is only as sound as the man who made it up. If we look at it realistically, since the jury is made out of white, while Tom Robinson is black, there is a high possibility of racial prejudice, which is a fact that we must face. Although Mr. Atticus Finch fought hard for Tom Robinson, the jury probably had a fixed mindset about the case, and nothing could change that. Now that the verdict has been decided, we cannot do anything to change the outcome but to watch what happens.
Thank you for everyone who has shared their views. Back to the studio.
We will now have a break. After the break, we will have a specialist who will talk to us about an extremely interesting topic. Stay tuned.
We want an ice cream. We want an ice cream. We want an ice cream. We all want an ice cream. Hop down to your nearest convenience store and get this really very delicious things of ice cream. And it'll be $2. Come on, come on. Yay!
Welcome back to MCN News.
Next, one of Macon County's resident, Mrs. DuBose, had unfortunately passed away over the weekend. Her cause of death was her morphine addiction. She had taken it as a painkiller for many years and experienced numerous feats. However, she had broken her addiction before she had passed on. She had been such a courageous person.
Yes, indeed. Mrs. DuBose had told Mr. Finch that she wanted to leave this world beholden to nothing and nobody, and that was exactly what she had done. She was the real representation of what real courage meant, and she was the bravest person anyone had ever knew in Macon County. Rest in peace, Mrs. DuBose. Next, we have an interesting segment about flowers, which will be in tribute to Mrs. DuBose, since she had a passionate interest in camellias. We invited botanist Gwendolyn Evans to share her views about 3 special flowers that can be found around Macon County. MCN very own reporter, Sia Zemanskis, to interview Dr. Evans. Zemanskis, please.
So here we have invited a specialist to tell us more about the flowers that can be found in Macon County along with their uniqueness and beauty. So Dr. Evans, what can you tell us about the flowers that you have chosen to talk to us about?
So firstly, azaleas are flowering shrubs. They are normally red, white and pink. They bloom in summers and are usually found under tall trees because they are shade tolerant. US, Japan and Korea have festivals with azaleas where people are captivated by the astounding beauty of flowers.
So what are the other flowers that you would like to introduce to us today?
Secondly, there are camellias found around Mekong County. Camellias are flowering plants with flowers that are large. The colors of flowers vary from white to pink to red. Truly yellow flowers are found only in South China and Vietnam. They originate from the Indian subcontinent and Asia, and they have different names in both Japan and China. They can grow up to 20 meters and are evergreen shrubs. Their leaves are alternately arranged, simple, thick, serrated, and are usually glossy.
So are there any other information on plants that you would like to add on?
Yes, lastly but certainly not the least, there are geraniums. Geraniums are one of the 422 species of flowering annually plants. They consist of bead-like columns which open only when it's ripe. The flowers have 5 petals and are colored white, pink, purple or blue, often with distinctive veining. It is considered one of the most colorful plants, being red, pink, white, fuchsia and many other colors. Geraniums will grow in any soil as long as it's not waterlogged. They are commonly found in temperate regions and tropical mountains. Geraniums are suspected by scientists to be able to be a possible cure of HIV.
Thank you for your time and fruitful information. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Ms. Zemeckis. And that's all for today's MCN News. If you have any comments on our news, do send us a letter to 28 Mekong County Drive or call us at 6859-6850. Thank you and have a great night ahead.